This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today I'm going to show you what I picked up at the Chicago Toy Show. Earlier this year, I saw that Pixel Dan had gone, and I also saw that Ed's Retro Toy was also there with Pixel Dan. I don't know if they were together. I don't think they were, but anyway, I decided I wanted to check out the show myself. And later on, I will probably do a video where I did some commentary over some of the stuff I saw and some of the searches I did. Although that's going to be a mess. Anyway, here's my first bag of goodies to show you. These were on a guy's $5 table. So I decided to pick them up. Now, it appears that I didn't notice this at the time, but this is not exactly in the best condition. Not that I wasn't going to open it, but unfortunately it does look like parts are missing now. But anyway, for $5, still not bad. Although I do think it was originally $4.99 at Walmart, or was it $7.99? I don't remember. But it's a Beastman and a He-Man, and we do at least have the Power Sword still, so that's good. Although we don't have the little bag of goodies here. If I'm lucky, maybe it's in my backpack. We also have from the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe CGI series, the Deluxe Beastman figure. This is pretty cool. Sadly, I kind of forgot when I was looking around that I did find a booth that had Merman, Hordak, and Deluxe, not Deluxe He-Man, but more Armored He-Man. And I forgot to go back to that table when I was done, which not too bad either because I spent way more money than I meant to. Then we have the Eternia Minis, Skeletor with Roton. I've been told that this Roton does not actually spin, which is kind of sad. But I'll probably try that out at some point. And then we've got Fisto and Stridor. So this is pretty cool. I don't know how. It actually doesn't look like it doesn't look like Stridor has that much articulation. I mean, it says articulated. It looks like the legs move a little bit, but that's about it. The joints on the legs themselves don't move. So that's our first bag of goodies to take a look at. Now for our second bag of goodies. This is a G.I. Joe haul. We've got a Duke, which I think, if I remember correctly, the first wave of figures got a recolor or redeco, and were put out again. Because I know I've seen the two different Scarlets, and I'm thinking this might have been the Duke for that one because I've seen Duke online for $90, and this guy was only charging $25 for this one. So I'm assuming this is not the $90 version. Also, I thought his mouth was like open in a scream on that version too, on the original. So, oops. We've also got Snake Eyes here, 02. I don't have this one. I've got a couple of the other Snake Eyeses. I look forward to opening him up. So I don't really have much more to say about that one. Then we have Beachhead. This was a Cobra Island Target exclusive. I never saw him in stores, so being able to get him at the toy show was nice. And man, I need to really stop saying and Anyway, this this purchase I think is going to make me pretty happy. Although it looks like he comes with Scarlet's crossbow too. Also, kind of weird, like none of his weapons have any additional deco on them, and I wonder if that was just Hasbro cheaping out on the first wave of Cobra Island, which is kind of weird because like the first wave of Cobra Island stuff seems like the figures actually came with extra equipment, like the Cobra Trooper did, or Cobra Infantry. But the later ones, like the I guess it was the Python Patrol, so I guess it is technically a different series where the Bat came with less stuff than the original release. Anyway, that's our second bag of goodies to look at. In our third bag of goodies, we have another G.I. Joe haul, all these though being loose figures. Okay, there was one Marvel Legends figure in here as well, because we've got the more recent Jessica Drew figure, based on a short run comic series that they did with her, because all of her comic series seem to be short run lately. But I do like this costume design, so I couldn't say no to it, especially since it was only $10. Plus, to be honest, the guy offered a deal for multiple items purchased, so who can say no to that? We also have Tunnel Rat. He's got almost all of his equipment. He's only missing the bandolier of bullets, which is kind of a shame, but it's not that big of a deal. Though it does, now that I look at him, he does look a little plain without it, you know what I mean? But it'll be a good figure for doing some customization if I decide to. We've got these two dyed versions of the Crimson Guard. Actually, it looks like, based on the weapons here, it does look like they are from the Python Patrol series. Oh yeah, there's some yellow there. I figured it was kind of a cool item. Looked like they tried to do the dye job on them, but maybe not. But it's kind of a unique figure to have in the add to the collection, so I'm not going to complain about it. And maybe I can use them for experiments, like my own attempts at dyeing figures that I want to do in the near future. But I picked up two of them, and it looks like I've only got one full set of equipment with them. I should have paid more attention when I was picking them out, because he doesn't have his pistol or rifle. And last but not least in this haul, we have the Baroness with Coil Cycle. Here's our lovely Baroness figure. I do wonder if this is the version of the Baroness that will be coming with the Crimson in the Crimson Trio set, or if they'll be using more of the retro card back version of her or not. But it looks like she has all of her equipment here, because we've also got her knife that can go in the sheath here. Though it's kind of a shame that they stopped giving her heels. I mean, the Baroness is supposed to be the sexy Cobra spy, master of disguise. We've also got this really goofy weapon that she comes with that wraps around her arm. Now watch me not be able to do it. And I'm not going to make the effort to actually have her grasp the handle because that's a pain in the butt. She also has her motorcycle helmet, but if you're going to buy the Baroness, why are you going to use the helmet? This, however, I might put this on a spare Kiko's body just because I don't have a head for it, because I'm using it with Vipra. And of course, we have the Coil Cycle. I think this was actually the first vehicle that was actually put out for the G.I. Joe Classified line of figures. And it's kind of nice to have a second one in the collection because I already have one that I bought a while ago. And I like to have double up on the vehicles. Although with the Trouble Bubble, I do want to get a third one because we got 3 different heads on the Televipers. But that'll take care of our third set of haul bags. Here we have another set of figures. This is going to be some vintage Motu items. In this case, it was in one of those bins where they were really cheap. A lot of the figures are broken type of things. But I was looking for body parts for some customization experiments. However, that being said, this was a really nice find because it is really hard to find a Panther with a lot of the flocking on. And this may be the best that I have actually seen of a vintage Panther with flocking. So I'm not going to complain about getting that one on a $5 bin. I will have to clean up the saddle. I'm afraid to try to clean up the Panther itself because I would hate for the flocking to wash off. Along with that, we have a broken Extendar. However, I got both of his legs, So I should be able to replace the band in them and fix that. And I've got a couple of Trapjaw bodies. Trapjaw being the one that I am planning on making a custom vintage of. But man, they feel kind of gross, so they definitely need to be washed. But the other one, I do have the legs for the other Trapjaw too. So I felt kind of lucky that I found all that. Extendor should be kind of cool. But that'll finish us up for that bag of goodies. Coming up next, we have another bag of spare part type of figures from one of the vendors. I believe I paid $15 for this entire lot of stuff, which includes the elevator section or floor for the vintage Castle Grayskull, which I did need, so that was good. More Trapjaws. You know, surprisingly, a lot of the heads have been intact, which is great. Which almost makes me feel guilty that I'm going to be bashing them to try to pull the torso apart in order to fit the custom head for the Kronos I was going to make for vintage. But can't be helped sometimes. I might do some other kind of playing with this stuff too. The belt's pretty nice thing to have found too. Hard to find most of his accessories though. Also, added with that was just the blue He-Man sword, vintage sword, that was part of the one of the weapons packs back in the 80s. I think they had an axe also. They did not do a harness or a shield, I don't think, back then, which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen that. It's kind of funny when I look at some of the stuff that I picked up. For the most part, if I picked up Masters of the Universe from a booth, it was all Masters of the Universe. If I picked up G.I. Joe, it was all G.I. Joe. In this case, this haul brings us some Masters of the Universe and G.I. Joe stuff at the same time. I was able to make a deal with him. He did say that his prices were already pretty low. To be honest, there was only one item here that I specifically really wanted to go after, and it's not going to be the one that you think it is. But since he was willing to make a deal, I did get all three. I would have still gotten the other one if I couldn't get a deal on the other two. But we've got Stuart Outback Selkirk, the young version of him, and not the Cobra Island version. I've been holding this in my cart on Amazon, just hoping to get it at a lower price than $25. So finding it for $20 was good. This here is probably the item you think I was actually going after. It was not. It's just a nice bonus. I don't know if I can get the sticker off of there, though. This was the Revelation exclusive version from Mattel Creations of Scareglow. And he's got the black light set up here, or supposed to. Let's see if I can turn the lights off. All right, so let's see. So this was the gimmick for this version of Scareglow. He had the little lighting in there. The paint on him glue in the dark, and I'm not sure if the head does, because it does not appear to be. That's kind of a shame. I wonder if a black light would work. There we go. With the black light, we can see which parts of him actually are meant to glow in the dark. Unlike the um, classics or vintage or origins versions of Scareglow, his skeleton glows in the dark instead of the skin, whereupon on those ones it's the opposite. Uh, this is a figure that I kind of wanted. It was not one I was really going to go after because I do have the standard version of him. But having the collector's one is kind of nice too. Of course, like I said, the item that I was actually really wanting out of this one, basically because of the price that they wanted and not for any other reason, was the Revelations Triclops for $20. This is another item that's been sitting in my cart on Amazon, and it fluctuates from 35 to 45. I think I even saw it go up to 60. And it's not worth that much to me, to be honest. But I did want to get one of these since I've got the motherboard figure, and he's the priestess for the motherboard. So I thought he's the priestess. He's the priest for the motherboard. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get this Triclops for that reason. And here we have another G.I. Joe figure haul. This one, I got a pair of figures, the same one. If you guys have watched my Blue Ninja review, you might note that I had a vague recollection of the Red Ninja being a thing, but never having really seen it, aside from I guess I must have seen it if I thought it existed. But anyway, I was able to get the guy to go to $40 for the pair of them. So I will be doing an unboxing and review on these. Granted, it's not going to be that much different from the Blue Ninja because it is the same figure, just different color. But I will say, I gotta say, the deco on the red is a lot better, and there's more of it than on the blue, I think. And he just looks a lot cooler. So that'll be fun. At this point, we are starting to run low on the items that we purchased. Here we have another combo bag. We've got another Lord of Power Beastman, which I'm going to have to do I do have a review recorded for my original one of this, but I bought this one specifically because they're going to be doing the Barbarossa Customs has a kit to make him look like the Red Beast Man, where you'll replace a bunch of parts on him. So I needed a new base for that. So that's why I wanted to get him. And here is the second version of Scarlet that they did. She was relatively cheap, and I bought her mostly for the customization possibilities with some of the other figures. I also got a deal. The two of them together I got for $20, which basically was just saving $3 on the Beastman. But hey, a deal is a deal, and I appreciate when the sellers are willing to do so because it helps me out because I am broke at this point. We've got another bag of random Masters of the Universe figures. So this was another one where I got a deal on all of them. I think I saved $3. First off, we have another Trapjaw. I think this was actually the first vintage Trapjaw that I found. And he's pretty much what I was looking for initially, was just one that where the body was okay. I will, of course, have to repaint the legs if I go to customize them. But to be honest, a lot of these figures, I'm going to be trying to separate the torso, the halves of the torso here, to remove the head and place the new head on there, and I'll have new arms for it. Also got my first ever vintage New Adventures of He-Man figure. Like I said, I think I just saved like $3, maybe $5 getting these all together. looks like that's the power feature on this one, is that his arms move. He's also got the broken hilt from his sword in his hand. I don't know if that'll come out or not. However, there was a second figure of this without the broken hilt in his hand, and he came with a shield, and that was an extra $7. And being that I don't really care that much about the vintage New Adventures of He-Man figures, but I figured I should get at least one for my collection, right? And then, surprisingly, he had an Origins Triclops, good lord. An Origins release of why is my brain farting? Trapjaw. Dear God, I was just talking about the other one. Which he's missing all of his equipment except for the claw. And the truth of the matter is, I'm okay with that because I really mostly wanted to be able to paint the freaking eyebrows on him. Because come on, look at that. He needs the eyebrows. He looks terrible without them. But you can also see, looking at the two of these together, how big of a color difference there is with the skin tones. Like, I should say the skin tone itself looks pretty good on this, but the green should have been darker. I do like that they have the pupils painted in here the way they do. They just really needed to put the eyebrows in. So I'm actually pretty happy with getting this figure for $15, to be honest with you. I mean, it would have been great if it was complete, but then it probably wouldn't have been $15. Last but not least in our toy haul are a couple of one-offs that I got. I did not make a deal on this one because I could not find any other figures to go with it. But this is a Trapjaw, like the other ones. Except for he's got his claw and his gun, which are the hard things to find. He is missing his hook, but believe it or not, I actually do have a hook in my vintage collection of figures. I also have the gun, so I was pretty much set either way. And I'm not going to complain about getting the rest of the equipment. I will probably go ahead and go through all the Trapjaws I got, though, to find the best vintage one. And if I need to swap parts out on them, I'll do that, so I can have a good vintage Trapjaw. Also, to go with that, we have the Eartha Kitt Catwoman from the 1960s Batman. I had wanted this figure, but I could never find one in the store with good eyes. And I don't think she really has particularly good eyes either. She's just kind of like looking off to the side. Unfortunately, the one problem with these figures is they're not as articulated as some of them. And I'm pretty sure these were made by McFarlane, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because there's such a limited articulation that makes me think that maybe this isn't actually a McFarlane figure. Because she doesn't even... besides the fact that there's no double jointing in the knees and the elbows, she doesn't actually have a ball joint in the hips. So she can only kick forward and back. Which is kind of a shame. So she's more or less a not quite so posable figure. But then she was really cheap, so I think I would have complained a lot more if I'd spent the full $24 or $20 that she was originally in the stores. And I'm not sure if that paint is supposed to be there or if that's just something that got stuck from something else. Anyway, I think that will conclude our Chicago Toy Show toy haul. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go over the different videos I recorded while at the show, and I will see about putting together a compilation of the things that I kind of looked at there and some of the stuff that I saw in the commentary. Unfortunately, I also think that one of my microphone ran out of power while I was there as well, so that'll be fun. Anyway, as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace and love.